Hi, I welcome you all for this video lecture on Power System 2. I am Dr. V. Jayalakshmi, working as Associate Professor in the Department of Electrical and Electronics Engineering, Bharat Institute of Higher Education and Research. In this video, I am going to explain about the load flow analysis using the Gauss-Seidel method. In this video, first I'm going to explain about the importance of load flow analysis, then classification of buses, then how to form the load flow equations in complex and polar variable form, and how to obtain the solution using the Gauss-Seidel method. So first look at the figure. This is the simple interconnected power system network. Here, this network consists of 4 buses. So, all the 4 buses are connected by a transmission line. So, here generating stations are connected to the bus 1 and 2 and it is interconnected by a transmission line. Loads are connected to all the buses, bus 1, bus 2, bus 3 and bus 4. So, here real and reactive power will be flowing between the buses. Yeah. First, we'll see about what is load flow. So, the flow of electrical power in any interconnected electrical system is termed as the load flow. Flow of electrical power means the flow of active and reactive power. So, what is meant by load flow studies? So, it is a steady state analysis whose target is to determine the voltage, current, real and reactive power flows in a system under a given load flow conditions. Load flow studies also known as the power flow studies. So load flow studies means steady state analysis conducted on a power system networks to find voltage, current, real and reactive power at all the buses. Why we need to conduct the load flow studies means to ensure whether the generation supplies the demand plus losses, bus voltage magnitude remains close to rated value or not, and whether the generation operates within the specified limit or not, and to check the transmission lines and transformers are not overloaded. So next we'll see about the need for load flow studies. So it will be useful to design a power system networks and planning a power system network to meet the load demand, and it will be helpful for the future expansion of the power system networks, and also it provides guidelines for optimum operation of power system, and it provides guidelines for various power system studies also. So these are the need for load flow studies. So next we are going to discuss about the bus classification. So in a power system networks, there are many components are there. The 4 main components are generating stations, transformer, transmission and loads. So the meeting point of these various components in a power system is called a bus. Okay, just look at the figure. So this is the bus. Okay, so bus means meeting point of various components. So in the bus only here generating stations, loads and transmission lines are connected. So bus is a node at which many transmission lines, loads and generators are connected. It is not necessary that all of them being connected to every buses. That means some buses may be having only the transmission and line and loads. Okay, but some buses will be having the generating stations also. So not necessary that all of them being connected to every bus. So the bus is a conductor made up of copper or aluminium that should have negligible resistance. Why that should have negligible resistance means to reduce the transmission line losses. At some of the bus, power is being injected into the network. That means if generating station is connected to the bus, that will inject the power in the buses. Whereas at other buses, it is being tapped by the system load. If, for example, if load is connected to a particular bus that takes that injected power from the buses. Usually, there are 4 quantities associated with each bus. That is real power, reactive power, magnitude of voltage, and phase angle. Okay. So, out of these 4, any 2 will be specified, and remaining 2 we have to calculate it. So, the buses are classified based on these specified parameters. Okay, if magnitude of voltage and phase angle is was specified, then the remaining 2 is real and reactive power. Okay, so if voltage, magnitude of voltage and phase angle is specified, that bus we can call it as a swing bus or slack bus. Sometimes real power and magnitude of voltage will be given, that we can call it as a generator bus or PV bus. So what are the remaining 2 parameters? Reactive power and phase angle, that we need to calculate it by conducting a load flow studies. In the case of load bus, real and reactive power will be specified. Then we have to calculate the magnitude of voltage and phase angle. So the buses are classified as load bus, voltage controlled bus, and slack bus based on the quantities specified. So 4 quantities associated with each bus: P, Q, V, and del. Okay. So if P and V is given, then we can call it as a generator bus or PV bus. If real power and reactive power is given, that is called a load bus. If magnitude of voltage and phase angle is specified, that is called the slack bus or reference bus. Okay. Usually in a power system network, only 2 types of buses are only exist. That is generator bus and load bus. Okay. By any one of the generator bus, we have to assume it as a swing bus. Okay. That means that is a slack bus. So slack bus is not exist one. One of the generator buses considered as a slack bus. Why one of the generator is considered as a slack bus means, usually in a power system network, the total power generator will be equal to the sum of the power consumed by the loads and losses. For example, if the generator generates 50 megawatt, in that 45 megawatt will be taken by the loads. So remaining 5 megawatt is wasted as a losses. Okay. So, but in a power system network, only the generated power and load power only specified. So the losses will not be specified. So we have to assume that is to find out the losses, we have to assume any one of the generator bus as a slack bus. Okay, usually the largest capacity generator bus is taken as a slack bus. So swing bus or slack bus is needed to supply the additional real and reactive power to meet the losses. Usually in the slack bus, the magnitude will be equal to 1 and phase angle will be equal to 0 degree. So the real and reactive power at the swing bus are found by using the load flow analysis method. Next, we'll see about the generator bus or PV bus. A bus at which magnitude of the voltage and active power is defined, that is called as a generator bus or PV bus. Okay, why this is called a PV bus? Because in this bus, real power and voltage is given. So what are the 2 parameters? Reactive power and phase angle, that we have to calculate it using the load flow equations. The bus is always connected to a generator. Okay, so this type of bus comprises about 10% of all the buses in a power system. If, for example, 100 buses are there in a power system network, in that 10 buses are considered as a generator bus. So these are the buses where generators are connected. So the power generation in such bus is controlled through a prime mover, while the terminal voltage is controlled through the generator excitations. So keeping the input power constant through turbine governor control and keeping the voltage constant using the automatic voltage regulator, we can specify the PGI and VI for these buses. This is why such buses are referred as the PV buses. The reactive power supplied by the generator depends on the system configuration and cannot be specified in advance. Okay. Why the generator bus reactive power is not specified means here it depends on the configuration and we cannot specify in advance. So we have to find out the unknown angle of the bus voltage. Next, now we are going to discuss about the load bus or PQ bus. Load bus means in that real power and reactive power will be specified. That's why this is called P and Q, PQ bus. So the remaining two parameter is magnitude of voltage and phase angle. So in this type of bus are most common and comprising almost 80% of all the buses in a given power system networks. So for example, if the power system network consists of 100 buses, 10 bus will be a generator bus, then remaining 80% of the bus will be a load bus. So in these buses, no generators are connected and hence the generated real power and reactive power are taken as 0. Okay, this is very, very important. So in the case of load bus, the generation, real and reactive power are 0 because here no generators are connected to this bus. The load drawn by these buses are defined by the real power minus PLI. Okay. And reactive power minus QLI, in which the negative sign accommodates for the power flowing out of the buses. Okay, in this case, the real power and reactive power, we have to take negative of this value because here that negative value indicates the power flows out of the buses. So the objective of load flow studies is to find out the magnitude of voltage and phase angle. So the load flow studies require these 4 buses. Representation of the system by single line diagram, forming the impedance diagram. After that, formation of network equations, then solution of network equation. So these are the 4 steps will be useful for the load flow studies. So this is the generator model. So generator means generating bus, generator connected to the ith bus. So it injects the real and reactive power to the ith bus. So the power at the ith bus is represented as like this. SGI equal to PGI plus JQGI. So G means generation power, I means bus number, ith bus. So in this case, at the ith bus, only load is connected. So when only load is connected, then the complex power equation is SDI equal to PDI plus JQDI. D means demand, I means bus number. So consider the 2 bus system as shown in this figure. So we have already seen that power generator power equation and then demand power equations. So power generated at ith bus is this, power demand at ith bus is this. Okay. So now we are going to discuss about the power system modeling. Okay, for the purpose of steady state analysis. So consider the 5 bus systems. Okay. So here real and reactive power will be injected by the generation. Then load takes that real and reactive injected power from the buses. Okay. So the model consists of network in which number of buses are interconnected by means of line, which may be either transmission line or power transformers. Okay. The generators and loads are simply characterized by the complex powers flowing into and out of buses. So generator characterized by the complex power entering into the bus. Okay, load is characterized by the power flowing out of the bus. Each transmission line is characterized by the lumped impedance and a line charging capacitance. Okay, transmission line represented by the lumped impedance and line charging capacitance. So static capacitor or reactors may be located at certain buses either to boost or buck the load voltage at times of need. So look at the figure here. Static capacitors are connected. So here the main purpose of using the capacitors is to boost or buck the load bus voltage at the times of need. So power flow problem may be defined as that of determining the complex voltage at all the buses given the network configuration and the bus power specification at all the buses except the slack bus. So first we'll see about the development of power flow equations. The power flow model will comprise a set of simultaneous non-linear algebraic equations. So power flow equation will be a non-linear algebraic equations. That's why here we are going to use the iterative algorithms to find the solution. If it is a linear equation, directly we can find out. Since the power flow equation is a non-linear equation, we have to use the iterative algorithm. So these equations relate the complex power injection to complex power voltage. Okay. So power flow equations relates the power injection to bus voltage. So the solution of this model will yield all the bus voltages. So there are three types of equations: network equations, bus power equations, and line flow equations. So in this, the first two equations, that is network equation, bus power equations, are used for the development of power flow model. Okay, the solution of power flow model will yield all the bus voltages. Once the bus voltage are known, the line and transformer flow can be determined using the line flow equations. So now we are going to discuss about the how to form the network equations. So network equations can be written in a number of alternative forms. That means either rectangular form, polar form, or the exponential form. Okay. Let us choose the bus frame of reference in admittance form, which is most economical one of the point of view of the computer time and memory requirement. So the equation describing the performance of network in the buses admittance form I equal to Y into V. That is as per Ohm's law, V equal to IR. So 1 by R, that is 1 by Z is the Y. So I equal to Y into V. So here I is the bus current vector, Y is the bus voltage vector, whereas Y is the bus admittance matrix. So this is for a single bus system. Usually power system network consists of more number of buses. So we have to expand this for the n number of buses. So we can write like I1, I2, In. Okay. Then Y11, Y12 up to Y1n, Y21 to 2n. Then Yn1, N2 and Nn. Okay. This is for the n number of buses admittance matrix, and V1, V2 up to Vn. Okay, so typically the element of bus admittance matrix is, that is Yij equal to magnitude of Yij into theta ij. Okay, that is phase angle. So that we can write as a magnitude of Yij cos theta ij plus j Yi sin theta ij. That is in terms of conductance and susceptance, we can write Gij plus j Bij. That is the admittance between the ith bus and kth bus. Voltage at a typical bus I is given as magnitude of voltage Vi into phase angle del I. This we can write as a rectangular form, magnitude of voltage cos del I plus j sin del I. So the current injected into the network at a bus I is given by I equal to, so this is the n number of equation. For ith bus from this matrix, we can write like this. So Ii equal to Yi1 V1 plus Yi2 V2 plus R2 Yin Bn. Okay, this we can write like this. Summation of N2, 1 equal to capital N, Yin, Bn. N is the number of buses. So next we are going to develop the power flow equations. So the relation between the per unit real and reactive power supplied to the system at bus I and the per unit current injected into the system at that bus. Okay. So complex power SI equal to VI II star. So II star means that's a complex conjugate of the voltage. That we can write PI plus JQI. So VI is the per unit voltage, I is the complex conjugate of the per unit current injected at the bus. PI and QI are the real and reactive power. So from this equation, II star equal to PI plus JQI divided by VI. Okay, so to remove the complex conjugate, here we can change the sign. So PI minus JQI divided by VI star. So PI minus JQI equal to VI star, okay, equal to VI into IA star. So that IA equal to summation of J equal to 1 to N. Here, in the previous step, we have obtained a expression, no, IA equal to summation of N is small, N equal to 1 to capital N, YIN into VN. So this I expression substitute here. So you'll get VI star summation of J equal to 1 to N Yij Bj. Okay. So summation of J equal to 1 to N Yij Bj Vi star. Okay. So Yij equal to Yij phase angle theta Ij. That is the admittance between the ith bus and kth bus. Then voltage at ith bus can be represented like this. So PI minus JQI, okay, PI minus JQI equal to, so Yij equation you substitute, then VI expression you substitute in this equation. Now we'll get like this. So PI minus JQI equal to summation of J equal to 1 to N, Yij magnitude of Yij, magnitude of jth bus voltage, magnitude of ith bus voltage, and phase angle is theta ij plus del j minus del I. Okay, so this we can write in a cos theta plus sin theta like that. Okay, so Pi, if you expand it and equate real and reactive term, then you will get the real power expression and reactive power expression. So real power Pi equal to summation of J equal to 1 to N Yij Bj Vi cos theta ij plus del I minus del j minus del I. So reactive power equation will be like this. So first we'll see about the what is mean by bus admittance matrix. Till now we have discussed about the Y bus matrix. Okay. What is a bus admittance matrix? Why this will be used in the load flow analysis instead of impedance matrix. So in a power system, bus admittance matrix represent the nodal admittance of the various buses. So with the help of transmission line, each bus is connected to the various other buses. So admittance matrix is used to analyze the data that is needed in load or power flow studies of the buses. So it explains the admittance and the topology of the networks. So why here admittance matrix is used instead of impedance matrix means here it is a sparse matrix. Sparse matrix means most of its elements are zero. So why admittance matrix is used instead of impedance matrix means the main reason is admittance matrix is a sparse matrix. Sparse matrix means most of the elements are zero. So the computer memory requirement will be very less. Then its formation and modification are very easy compared to impedance matrix. And in this matrix, data preparation is very simple. And that's why this is very useful in load flow and stability analysis. Okay. Just look at the figure. Here it consists of 4 buses. Now I'm going to explain the impedance that is admittance matrix for this given power system network. So the matrix size, okay, admittance matrix size depends upon the number of buses. So in this network here, it consists of 4 buses. So it will be a 4 cross 4 matrix. So Y11, Y12, Y13, Y14, Y21, Y22, Y23, Y24, 31, 32, 33, 34, up to that Y41, 42, 43, Y44. So the matrix size depends upon the number of buses. If the system has 3 bus, then matrix size will be a 3 cross 3 matrix. So in this, the diagonal element of each node is the sum of admittance connected to it. So diagonal elements means Y11, Y22, Y33, Y44 is the sum of all the admittance connected to the particular buses. It is also known as the self-admittance or driving point admittance. There is the off-diagonal element 1, Y12, Y13, 14, Y23, 24, and 31, 32, 43, okay, 42, 41 like this. So these all are the off-diagonal element is equal to the negative of the admittance between the nodes, okay. So it is also known as the mutual admittance or transfer admittance. So Y11, okay, now I'll explain how to form the Y bus for this given figure. So Y11 equal to, so for the first bus, generator admittance is connected, then is the admittance, that is the admittance of the transmission line between the bus 1 and 3, then admittance of the transmission line connected between the bus 2 and 1, okay. So Y11 means Y10, that is the generator admittance, plus admittance between the bus 1 and 2 and admittance between the bus 1 and 3. Similarly, Y22 we have to calculate. So Y22 is Y admittance of the generator 2, then admittance connected between the bus 1 and 2 and bus 2 and 3. Okay, Y22 is Y20 plus Y12 plus Y23. Similarly, we have to calculate Y33 and Y44. So Y33 means there will be 2 transmission lines are connected, that is Z13, Z23. So Y33 equal to Y13 plus Y23 plus Y34, admittance between the bus 3 and 4. Y44 will be equal to Y34 because in the 4th bus only one transmission line is connected, that is between the 3rd and 4th bus. That's why Y44 equal to Y34. Then off diagonal element Y12, Y13, Y14 like that, how to find out? Now I'll explain. So the half diagonal elements Y12 means admittance between the buses 1 and 2. Y13 means admittance between the bus 1 and 3. Like that, Y14 means admittance between the bus 1 and 4. Okay. So Y12 will be equal to Y21. So admittance connected between the bus 1 and 2, that will be equal to the bus admittance of bus 2 and 1. Both are same. That's why Y12 equal to Y21. That will be equal to minus Y12. So for off diagonal elements, we have to consider the negative of the given value, minus Y12. Y13 equal to Y31. That will be equal to minus Y13. Y23 equal to Y32. Okay, Y sum of admittance connected between bus, second bus and third bus will be equal to admittance connected between the third bus and second bus. Y23 equal to Y32, that will be equal to minus Y23. Then admittance between the third and fourth bus, 3-4 will be equal to 4-3. That will be equal to minus of Y34. Okay. So just now I have explained how to form the Y bus matrix from the given diagram. Okay. So properties of Y bus. Y bus is a sparse matrix. Already I told sparse matrix means number of elements in the, most of the elements, that is 90% of off diagonal elements are 0. Why 90% of off diagonal element are 0 means the power system, each node is connected to not more than 3 nodes. Okay, that's why in the case of Y bus, more than 90% of off diagonal elements are 0. Then diagonal elements here are dominating. Diagonal elements means Y11, Y22, Y33, Y44 like that. Off diagonal element are symmetric. Okay, Y12 will be equal to Y21. Y13 will be equal to Y31. Okay, so off diagonal elements are symmetric. Then the diagonal element of each node is the sum of admittance connected to it. Then the off diagonal element is negated admittance. So these all are the properties of Y bus. So still now we have discussed about the types of buses, then how to form the power flow equations. Now I am going to explain how to find the solution of the load flow problems. So there are 3 methods are there to find the solution of load flow problems: Gauss-Seidel method, Newton-Raphson method, and fast decoupled method. So these all are the iteration method. Okay, I explained why we are here. Iteration methods are used because the network equations are non-linear equations. So in the above mentioned load flow methods, voltage solution is assumed and the iteration process can be proceeded until the reach of convergence. So we have to repeat the steps until the reach of the convergence. Okay. So in this lecture, I am going to explain only the Gauss-Seidel method of load flow analysis. So first we'll see that is Gauss-Seidel method algorithm. So first we have to assume a voltage profile, that is 1 plus J0 for all the buses except the slack bus. So first step in the Gauss-Seidel method is assume the initial voltage to all the buses except slack bus. Why here except slack bus is mentioned means because in the case of slack bus, the magnitude of voltage and phase angle will be given to you. That's why except slack bus, other buses you have to assume as 1 plus J0. After that, you have to assume a suitable convergence criteria. Then set iteration count K equal to 0 and assume the initial voltage V1 0, V2 0, V3 0 and Vn 0 except slack bus. Okay. So initial set iteration count K equal to 0 and assume the initial voltage. After that, next step is you have to assume the bus count P equal to 1. So while starting the procedure, first bus, if you are considering the first bus, then bus count will be 1, P equal to. If you finish first bus and if you go to the next bus, there you have to increase the bus count, P as a 2. If you go to the third bus, then P will be equal to 3. Okay, so initially set bus count P equal to 1. So check for slack bus. Okay, first consider the first bus and check whether it is a type of the bus, whether it is a slack bus, load bus or generator bus. Okay, if first bus is a slack bus, if it is a slack bus, then go to the 12th step. Okay, because in the slack bus, magnitude of voltage and phase angle will be given. Okay, so there will be no need of calculating that voltage and phase angle. Whatever the given value, that will be remains constant for the entire iterations. So for slack bus, no need to do any calculation. Whatever the voltage and phase angle given, you have to take it as, okay, it's constant. Okay. If it is not a slack bus, you have to go to check whether it is a generator bus. Okay. If it is a generator bus, you have to follow the step 7. Okay. Set VPK equal to VP specified. BP small p means bus count, superscript K means the initial iteration count. So initially for the second bus means V2 0, that will be equal to V2 specified. V2 specified means it will be given because generator bus means real power and magnitude of voltage is given. So whatever the given value, you have to take it. So Vpk equal to Vp specified. Then calculate the reactive power using this equations. Because generator bus, what are the values given to you? Real power and magnitude of voltage. So we have to calculate the reactive power and phase angle. Okay, so first set the given value as the initial voltage. After that, using this expression, calculate the reactive power. After that, you have to check whether the reactive power is within the limit or not. Okay. After that, go to the next bus. Okay. So if it is a next step is, so after calculating the reactive power, you have to check whether it is whether within the limit or not. Okay. If it violates the limit, then you have to consider the calculated reactive power is less than its minimum value, then QP equal to QP minimum. That what are the minimum value is given, that you take it. Then if it is more than the maximum limit, that maximum value you have to consider it. After that, you have to go to the 9th step. Okay. So if it is the reactive power is within the limit, then calculate the magnitude of voltage, that is phase angle of the voltage using this expressions. So if for the next, check the bus type. If it is a slack bus, no need of any calculation. If it is a generator bus, means first you have to calculate the reactive power, then calculate the phase angle. Then next, check the, if it is a load bus, then you have to follow this step, 9th step. For load bus means only real and reactive power is given. So you have to calculate the phase angle and magnitude of voltage. Magnitude of voltage and phase angle we can easily find out using these expressions. After that, acceleration factor, if it is given, then we have to use it for the faster convergence. Then calculate the change in the voltage, Vpk plus 1 equal to Vpk plus 1 minus Vpk. Okay. Repeat the steps unless all the bus voltage have been calculated, and continue until the bus count is n. Okay. These are the steps for the Gauss-Seidel method. So first step, in assume initial voltage, then assume in convergence criteria, then set iteration count k equal to 0 and assume initial voltages, then set the bus count p equal to 1 and check whether a slack bus, generator bus or load bus. So the corresponding steps you have to follow it. Okay. So one example, one problem I will explain for how to apply the Gauss-Seidel method to find the solutions. Okay, the per unit admittance are indicated in the diagram. Okay, admittance value -3, -4, -5 is given. That determine the voltage at the second bus and third bus after the first iteration using the Gauss-Seidel method. So in this table, the real and reactive power line flow data is given in the table. Okay. So first step, first we have to form the Y bus. Okay, Y bus formation already I have explained. So Y bus size depends upon the number of buses. So this system is having the 3 buses. So Y bus will be a 3 cross 3 matrix. Y11, Y12, Y13, 212, 223, 31, 32, 33. So Y bus is a 3 cross 3 matrix. You have to calculate all the elements in the matrix. Okay. So Y11 means sum of admittance connected to that bus. So here -3, -4 is connected. So Y11 is -7. You can Y22 means -3, -5 is connected. So -8. Y33 means -4, -5 is connected. So -9. Okay. Then off diagonal element Y12, Y2, 3 and 3, 1 is negative of that value. Okay, Y11, Y12 will be equal to Y21. So that is minus of the negative value. So plus J3. Like that, Y13 equal to Y31. So that will be equal to minus of minus J4 plus J4. Y23 equal to Y32 that will be equal to minus of minus j 0.5, that is plus j. After that, the calculated value, write it in the matrix form. So first bus 2, okay, here second bus. So in the table, bus type is given. First bus is a slack bus, second bus is a PQ bus, third bus also PQ bus. Okay, load bus. 2 buses are load bus, 1 bus is a slack bus. So in that they have mentioned the voltage, phase angle, real and reactive power for the corresponding buses. Okay, at bus 2, P2 equal to PG2 minus PD2. Okay. So bus 2, they have given the generation, real and reactive power and load power also they have given. So you have to calculate P2 and Q2. That is P demand, generation minus demand will be equal to the power at the second bus. So P2 equal to PG2 minus PD2. That will be equal to 0.25 minus 0.5 equal to minus 0.25. Q2 equal to QG2 minus QD2. So 0.15 minus 0.25 equal to minus 0.1. Like that, similarly, you find at bus 3 also, P3 and Q3 from this given value. So your first step is you have to assume the initial voltage, okay, V1 of 0, V2 of 0 and V3 of 0. After that, set the iteration count K equal to 0. So initial voltage for the first bus is already given in the table 1.02 angle 0, because first bus is a slack bus. So it is directly given, that value you take it. Then remaining 2 buses are load bus. Okay, there will be no voltage and phase angle is given. You have to assume as 1 plus J0. Okay. So for slack bus means calculation is no need, because it is voltage and phase angle is directly given. So what are the given value remains constant until the nth iteration. So V1 of 0 will be equal to V1 of 1. So that same given value. Okay, you take it. Next, go to the second bus. Second bus is a PQ bus. PQ bus means load bus. Load bus means you can find out the voltage and magnitude using this expression. Okay. So bus 2 is a load bus. So this expression you can use to find the voltage and phase angle. In this expression, small p na bus number. So we are in the second bus, substitute V2. And K is the iteration count 0. So 0 plus 1 equal to 1. So V2 1 equal to 1 by small p is 2. So 1 by Y22 into P2 minus JQ2 by V2 0 minus this YPQ is 2 1 V1 1. Okay, K plus 1. So 0 plus 1 is 1. Like that, you substitute the P and Q value for the third term also. So after that, substituting P and K value, you get like this. Now you substitute the values. Y22 values you substitute from the matrix. Y22 is minus J8. Okay. P2 and JQ2 is previous step we have calculated that value. Here you substitute. Then V2 dash is 1 plus J0. Then complex conjugate, that's why Y minus J0. Then substitute Y21 value, V1 dash value, Y23 and V3 0. Then you just multiply and divide by it. You will get this expression V2 of 1. Okay. What are the steps now I have explained? You apply for the third bus also, because third bus also same bus only, PQ bus. There also magnitude and phase angle will not be given. Only the P and Q value is there. Okay. So there to find the voltage and phase angle using this expression. In this, you have to substitute small p as 3, because now we have considered we move on to the third bus. So P small p will be equal to 3, K will be equal to 0, and N will be equal to total number of buses, third bus. Okay. P2, Q2 is already we have calculated at the third bus, P3 and Q3. That value here you substitute it. Okay. Finally, you'll get the V3 dash value. Okay. So now I have explained the how to apply the Gauss-Seidel algorithm to find the solution. Solution means voltage at the end of first iteration at all the three buses. Okay. So here the given bus or load bus, directly only one expression is the one equation is enough to find the voltage and phase angle. Okay. So now we'll see the what are the advantages of Gauss-Seidel method. So it's small computer memory requirement in this case, and this is the very simple techniques, and less computational time is required per iterations. But the major drawback of Gauss-Seidel method is increase of number of iteration directly with the increased number of the buses. If bus number increases, then the iteration also will be increases. Then here slow rate of convergence, okay, and thus large number of iterations will be required. So effect on convergence due to the choice of slack bus. So choice of slack bus will have an effect on the convergence criteria. Okay. So in this presentation, I have explained the simple power system network, then why we need to conduct the load flow studies on the power system network. After that, I have explained the types of buses. Then I have explained the how to form the power flow equations. After that, finally, we have discussed how to apply the Gauss-Seidel method to find the solutions. Thank you.